Engine 1 from car 1. Car 1's on scene at Subin Command. Give me a C.A.N report.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, Nozzle Top, to the C.A.N Report. Coming at you with a great guest today, Mr. A.B. Turenne. He is out of Connecticut. And my man runs the Hops and Halligans. Maybe some of you know him. I'm sure a lot of you do. He's also done some great things with writing books and teaching. And he's been all over the map, really just making the fire service honestly better for a lot of us. So I'm really excited to talk to him today. And we're going to be going down a couple of rabbit holes maybe and then see where it takes us out on the other end. AB, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
I appreciate the opportunity, brother. It's finally nice to catch up and connect after all this time. It is a small world when you really break it down. You're part of my up north crew, the live free or die state there, but got quite a few connections up there, and it was only a matter of time before I brought you and I together. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
It's been a long time coming, my friend. I'm super excited. I mean, we have a lot of the same people that we know, and honestly, like you said, we run in the same circles, and it's funny how it's just kind of closed that loop, and we came back right to where it needs to start. So I'm excited to talk to you today and see where we can go. I'm going to start real quick with AB's his background here. AB Turenne is a 25-year-old vet of the fire service and is currently the captain of training and safety with a career department in Middlesex County, Connecticut. As a certified level 3 fire service instructor, AB's training curriculum has proven to be conducive with the operational needs of those he teaches, and in turn, he has improved the human capital knowledge of many. A graduate from the Master of Public Administration program at Anna Maria College, AB has continued his efforts in training and education by continuing to the fire engineering training community. Most recently, AB has authored and published his first book titled Coffee Table Quick Tips, which can be found exclusively online via Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. Man, that's awesome.
For a small fee, I'll sign it for you, even though it brings the value down once I touch it, right? You know?
I got no problems with that. Hopefully, I got a couple extra coins in my pocket that I could pay you with, bribe you. Dude, that's that's awesome. That's I'm going to start with that, man. How'd you come up with the book?
Well, so as you said, recently I was promoted. Well, not recently. I guess March starts my third year. But I became captain of training and safety in my respective department. And, I needed to not reinvent the wheel, but, I had to kind of give it my own twist. There hasn't been a lot of longevity in that position. I actually was very fortunate. Last week, I met a gentleman who was recently been nominated and inducted into the Connecticut Firefighters Hall of Fame. And he was very notable in this position. And, I asked in conversation, I said, how long ago did you leave? He said, 23 years ago. So I started doing the math a little bit, and I realized that I'm the 6th person in this position in those 23 years. And it became the captain of training and safety in 2012 during that contract. So really, in the last 12 years, I'm the 4th person. So I'm not sure if I should be excited or scared, but longevity-wise, I think I'm running out of time here. So, but I wanted to put my own niche on it because there really hasn't anybody that has been in it long enough to kind of create a standard or create a format. And the first week, right off the bat, I came up with coffee table quick tips. Just something you can do subtle. Company officer, guys and girls on his or her crew, sit around the coffee table like a 1-page document and hit a bullet point, hit a training aspect, hit a highlight of a specific type of call for service. And it can either end there in conversation around the coffee table, or it can end up on the training ground and so forth. And every week, I'd send it out to all the company officers via email. Chain of command's a huge thing. Let them do it. And then I posted outside the training office. So I started keeping a binder of them. And one day we were hosting a class through the Connecticut Fire Academy. I think it was like incident safety officer or something. And they were talking about size ups for drug labs. And I kind of interjected a little bit from the office in the back. And nobody puts baby in the corner. I'm literally by myself in a little corner here. And I said, hey, this week's coffee table quick tip is on scene size up, recognizing a clandestine drug lab. Pardon me here. Not enough coffee today here. Shout out to Pete Callen, Ragtop Industries in New Haven, Connecticut, as well as Purgatory Coffee Roasters. I want to talk to you later about a new collaboration that's coming up with Purgatory and Hops and Halligans. I'm a caffeine snob. Sorry, brother.
No worries at all, my friend.
And I told them that, we have the coffee table quick tip of the week. They're like, what is a coffee table quick tip, So I explained to him the process behind it. He's like, dude, this is a great collection. And if I breeze through the catalog. So he took a few of them for an officer development class. I was a little bit, flattered, a little bit humbled at the same time. And then later on, I was doing an interview with Jeremy Donch on National Fire Radio, and we started talking a little bit about the process. He's like, dude, like, do something with that. And I did. If someone like Jeremy's giving you advice and a recommendation, kind of take it and run with it, And that
Yeah,
was my goal.
absolutely.
So I ended up, self-publishing. I did some research online, met up with a couple different publications, and I ended up getting an offer from Carolina area, Covenant Publishing. Oddly enough, it's a Christian-based publishing company. They've never worked in the fire service. They've never done like a training type manual. But, you're going to give them money. They're going to do what they need to do. So I submitted the training script right after the holiday season in 23, started rocking and rolling with it. And instead of doing a chapter book, what I did was 52 chapters. There's 52 weeks in a year. I did a different coffee table quick tip for every week of the year that any company officer, any firefighter, any training guy can just take out, pull, and start doing their own thing. And it took off. The power of the internet, the power of networking. I mean, obviously the brotherhood's been nothing but blessing for me throughout this process. The last sales report comes out quarterly. That ended in September. They actually launched September 1st, and in the first month we sold 438 copies throughout the U.S.
Wow.
Which my goal was 100 by the end of the year. Like, didn't think anybody would really give a shit, and I was flabbergasted to see how it took off. And all of a sudden, guys start sending me photos on social media of their picture or them with training it. And I'm like, this is cool. So I use that to push and promote it, plug the book a little bit more, and it just took off. So I've already exceeded any expectation I had going into it. And at the end of the day, a lot of it's just passing on whatever knowledge and information's been given to me throughout the years. Starting 26 years in the fire service, collectively, volunteer and career. And there's nothing in that book that is like an A-B thing. It's something that someone along the line has showed me, taught me, trained me on how to do, and it's helped me be successful. Reach whatever level of success I may have today. It's all because of the people I've been surrounded by. And, it's not just company officers. It's other firefighters, it's senior men, it's junior guys, it's instructors, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And, some of it might be, based off my geographical area or, particular staffing of the department I'm with, equipment at hand. But there's something in there that you can easily implement into your own department. And, you're going to get critics, and I get critics. I mean, you got to put yourself out there, bro. Like, you'll look on there. There's I used a quote on the cover from Frank Lieb. Frank has been nothing but a supportive mentor for the last few years. Fortunate, a couple years back in Providence, we're at a safety and survival conference. Him and I started, we kind of just locked in together. And after a few meetups, a few drinks, and later on, he's now, one of my biggest advocates, promoters. He's part of the book. He's been plugging the book. I've got a Hops and Halligans event coming up June this year. It's going to be featuring him. Hops and Halligans, Libations and Leadership with Frank Lieb. And but in a nutshell, what I'm getting at is, he passed on a quote to me from Teddy Roosevelt. And he referred to as, hey, yo, bro, you're the man in the arena. Like, don't get down on yourself right now if you're getting critics. You're the man in the arena. And in a nutshell, what it was what Teddy Roosevelt wrote was, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. So if you're in the arena and you're putting yourself out there, you're going to expose yourself. But at the end of the day, you got to remind yourself, even the critics, they're still watching, right? FTM,
Absolutely.
Fuck the mutts. We all preach that as part of the brotherhood with the fools. Even the mutts are critics and they're watching, so who cares? You're getting through to them. They're taking the time out of their day to worry about what it is you're doing. So whether they agree with you, whether they like you, it doesn't matter. They're still doing it. So I'd rather have critics than crickets, right?
Absolutely. Like you said, they're still reading it. Even if they hate you, they're still reading the book. And you're absolutely right. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to write a book. It takes a lot to do public forums like we're doing here. There's just always going to be people that are going to be out there to just bust your balls and hate on you. And if, like I've always said, if I can succeed by reaching one person, that makes a difference, whether what I say or what you write, or when we go to trainings and we're teaching somebody and that one person gets it, mission accomplished. That's money well spent, right?
100%.
It like when I go to trainings and when I'm teaching at the academy, and if one kid starts doing what I asked them to do or show them something that works a little bit better, and they start using it and they got a smile on their face because all of a sudden it dawned on them like, oh shit, this works. I really like it a lot. great. If you're that one person that got it and understood the mission and understood what I was trying to tell you, I can walk away happy. I literally have done that. I've gone home and talked to my wife. I'm like, man, that one kid, he just struggled. And I showed him just this little tip
But
and
that
he was so
one
happy.
thing, that one person or that one thing you got through to them can make an actual, an astronomical difference in their career, have an impact on the career. And it's worth the criticism, it's worth the struggles, it's worth all the pushback if you were able to do that for one person. Because that's what it's about. It's always about passing it on. I know it
Mm-hmm.
sounds so cliche, but it's about making the brotherhood better than it was when you found it. And everything I've ever done from start to finish, from 98 to now, has been to make this job better, the profession better, and for me to enjoy it. There's nothing that AB gets out of it. I can't survive as a one-man show, and there is no AB Turenne solo. Everything I do and am about, there's names and departments behind that. You just can't
Mm-hmm.
see that. No, you're
Even
spot on, man.
Yeah, even the bad experiences, you turn them into good experiences. If you've had a shitty instructor, you take that experience and you turn it into something positive. Writing people writing their books, they've taken bad experiences and they've formed them into their own words and made something positive out of it. So that the next person who's struggling can read it and it turns into words of affirmation, and they walk away feeling much better about themselves and about what God has planned for them, because somebody else has laid down the tracks and showed them like, hey, you're not alone. And
Absolutely.
that mental health or whatever, even the skills that you're trying to apply in the fire service or in life, that's what life is taking those experiences and taking the knowledge and kind of rewriting it so that way other people can understand it.
You could get that even from, not just the negative experiences, the negative people around you. I mean, I've been influenced in a good way by a lot of really shitty officers over the years. And what it is influence how not to be,
Oh,
how not
absolutely.
to run your
That's
crew,
exactly what I
how
was
not to
getting at.
treat your people. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Some of the worst people that I've met in the fire service has been a major influence on me, and it's turned into a positive. And I've taken all of that negativity, whether from childhood up into adulthood, I've turned it around and made it positive. And the instructors I've had, man, I've had some shitty ones. I've had some shitty chiefs, and I just turn it around. And people have asked, why are you so happy, or why do you seem so positive? Well, I've taken all the negative experiences and I'm not going to apply them to you. I'm going to make this better for all of us, because no one's going to have any fun if I'm just shitty all day because somebody else treated me like shit.
Well, you
So
can't change it. Like, it's already happened, so leave it alone. It's
absolutely.
not worth the time and energy. I love the people that walk around all day for, pissed off, there for a paycheck, and hate everything about you. That's fine, because you're wasting a lot of time and energy. I don't care.
100%.
It's not worth walking around head down, pissed off. Like, this is the greatest job in the world. I don't care if you're getting paid or not. This is the greatest profession known to man. And to be able to have that opportunity, this is a privilege, not a right. I enjoy every minute of it. And I take the bad with the good, because I'm not going to allow for somebody to stifle that passion. Hell no, man. Waste your own
Absolutely.
energy, waste your own time. Ain't gonna do it to mine. Ain't gonna do it to me. It's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, you've got a lot of passion and a lot of energy. So
That's called unmedicated idiot.
you've got a lot of it. I mean, also that you're a caffeine nut as well. So it definitely, just gets you all tuned up. So that's awesome. So
I've only got
you
24
got,
hours in a day, so got to get it all done.
So man, you got the book going, and then now you're doing the Hops and Halligans. Now, how did you start with the Hops and Halligans? Like the name and the program, and how did it start from ground to where it's at now?
The biggest thing, I take credit for the name. It was actually supposed to be, like a roof hook type aspect of it. But this whole thing isn't like an AB thing. Again, this is all influence. You look across the country, there's, tactics on taps, and there's all sorts of stuff. But I grabbed the bull by the horns. I ran with the concept of beer, brotherhood, and breweries, and it just kind of took off. And I go to Maine, New Hampshire, Mass, Rhode Island, or whatever. I travel and go to these conferences and lectures. Why not have one right in your backyard?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you can't be a one-man pony show all the time, and you need support. You need people to help you with the backing. And this is no disrespect to my respective department, my union, or nothing, but I couldn't go to them and say, hey, let's try to do the so and so fire conference. It just isn't going to work. We're not going to pull it out of our ass overnight. We don't have the funding. We're not a very big department. We've got 36 on roster in the union. I mean, it's not very big. So I said, you know what? Let me see what I can do. And I just, restless nights of sleep, probably the 800 milligrams of caffeine in my body. I said, fuck it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this on my own. Everyone's a naysayer. Nobody can get behind it. People say it's not going to happen. Well, I'll make it happen. And, I set the goal. The goal in mind was to put on one event, sell it out, see where it goes. I ended up hooking up with RJ, Robert James from Capital Fire Industries down in Maryland. And the first Hops and Halligans, we went with the Halligan because of what he does with forcible entry as, subject matter expert with that. We had him and Charles Hendry come up and do urban forcible entry program at Concentric Brewing Company in Portland, Connecticut. And the reason I chose that particular brewery location is because one of the owners is a battalion chief in a mutual aid department where I work. So Hops and Halligans is about, bringing camaraderie and training and education. I always use, making firemanship great again. But I try to bring guys together, like-minded people who are there on their own dime, own time, because they actually give a shit. They're not forced to be there. And any sponsor, any vendor, or anybody I push, plug, and promote, they're all firefighter-owned and operated businesses, because the other component of it, not just increasing and improving training and morale, I want to help their businesses thrive, I know they're not retiring on it, but it's something that they feel passionate about. It's something that vested a lot of time and interest and money in. If I can make one small part in helping that be a success, why not? Power of the internet and my thumbs, right?
Yep.
So we brought in a bunch of vendors. They set up, they sold all, your typical swag, slaps, snapbacks, sweatshirts, and so forth. All firefighter owned and operated. RJ and Charles Henry came in, did a fucking killer presentation. We filled the brewery with 100 thirsty firemen, and they all left there at the end of the night loving their job. So when they went back to their next shift or tour or whatever, at least they were happy. And then I hope that it kind of like pushed forward and influenced more people. So at the end of the day, it was an ultimate success. We were able to raise a couple $1,000s for a children's hospital over here in Hartford, Connecticut, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. It just kind of took off from there. We saw that there was a need, there was a desire. So collectively, with some of the supportive people around me, we just kind of ran with it and continued. And we've been very successful over the last couple of years. We've had 9 consecutive sold out events, starting back in the beginning of 2003. Wow. We had Brian Bellhumor, Danny Rinaldi, both from Providence Fire. That was Hops and Halligans 2.0. Josh Miller from New Haven Fire. Jason Rivera, who's also part of Capital Fire. Northeast Squad Concepts. They were Hops and Halligans, the Northeast Concepts. That was a big thing on like engine company operations, 2.5-inch lines, your multi-family balloon frame construction, your everyday New England jobs, right?
Yeah.
And then we ended up collaborating with a local brewery during that and 10-3 Graphics and putting out our own beer, Backstep Brew. And we ended up raising some money for a burn foundation out of Bridgeport, which was phenomenal. That was awesome. And then we hit it hard 2024 right off the rip, went up to Massachusetts. We filled out Treehouse Brewing Company. And
That's a
we
good
had,
place.
phenomenal. Nick Esposito.
Dude, I love me some Treehouse Brewery, man. That is good beer, Treehouse.
Here's the one downside, and I will, gotta say this because it's the truth. We gotta respect the law, blah blah blah. But driving from Massachusetts, you got 2 options: either don't enjoy yourself at Treehouse, or you gotta pay and get a room. So you do the right and responsible things, you can enjoy yourself. But that was we featured Nick Esposito, retired from Bridgeport Fire. He owner operator of Truck Tactics L. Again, another sold out, phenomenal showing. So 24 was actually a great year, phenomenal. Ray McCormack, the man, the myth, the legend, behind the hen stuff right now. We had him for an extinguishing thing up in again at Concentric back in April.
That was a big one, right? Like you had a lot. That was that was another sellout, right?
Brass City Inc. is one of our biggest supporters and vendors on site, and they do a tremendous amount of apparel for local fire departments. And they came on. They ran with Ray's whole "Keep Fire in Your Life" concept, and they made an event T-shirt. And what they ended up doing was donating $5 from every shirt purchased to a specific cause. And they set up shop right in the brewery, and they were printing them off. You walk up, I'm a large, boom, print it, go. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome. And then we actually followed that one up really, really close within like 30 days. That one, by the way, was sold out in 10 days. 10 days,
wow.
Raymond. I mean, you got someone like that on the roster on the bill. What's going to happen? Mark Gregory, another absolute stud out of New York. He came in and did a tremendous RIT one in May, sold out in a matter of days. And then the one that really kind of hit me the most was closing out the year. We went to Bad Sons Beer Company, which is over in Derby, Connecticut. We did Donch Does Derby, and we featured Jeremy Donch, National Fire Radio, and he did his Bridging the Gap program. And again, sold the place out, filled it with people that want to be there, give a shit about the brotherhood, care about the job. The reason that one was probably the most meaningful, I guess, for me, Jeremy was one of those guys, one of those advocates from the start that said, take this concept and run. Like, you got something going on here, dude, run with it. And him and I actually met for the first time at a Fools Conference, and I really started getting into a lot of his program, and the guy's contagious. He has done a lot over the years for the industry, and he continues to do. He's doing great things, and he's one of those big proponents of making it better. To have him, he was an initial sponsor of our first event that had Capital, and but to have him actually come in as a featured presenter was awesome. Great feeling. The guy's, like, again, he's been nothing but good to me. And
Jeremy, he's actually a big inspiration of me hitting record. I first got to meet him. I was promoting the Explorer Academy 2 years ago, and we did a podcast on his platform talking about it. And that was before really even trying to do a podcast my own. And then he came up for the summer, for that summer program, the Explorer Academy, and he knocked it out of the park with all the kids. He did the same presentation, Bridging the Gap. He catered it more to the kids so they can understand exactly what was going on. But it was almost a filled auditorium because we invited all the adults and departments if they wanted to come in. It was free of charge. Yeah. And he was very captivating, and the kids had a great time. He brought his daughter up. She's 16 years old. She's now in the fire service with him. She loved the program. He absolutely loved it. And I was talking to him about what my idea is of bringing something to New England and having somebody to talk about what we do up here, Hops and Halligans, and and tips and taps, or taps and tips, that's up there in Lebanon. Just we have so many great people and great motivators up here. Dave Quick, another one that's been really putting New Hampshire on the map.
I just missed him on Thursday. I could not get up there to New Hampshire.
I was out of town. I literally was just flying in from New Orleans when he was having his presentation, so I missed it as well. But man, when I was talking to Jeremy about my idea, and actually Quick was up there too, and we were talking about it, and Don's just like, well, why aren't you doing it? And so I don't know. I had all these excuses. Well, I don't know about this. I don't know how to do that. He's like, the hardest thing it is, man, is just hitting record. You just got to push that button, and then everything else will just fall into place. And that really hit home. It echoed in my head. And then like maybe a few weeks later, I saw him again. He's like, are you doing it yet? And I said, no, I don't know. Again, I had a bucket full of excuses. And he's like, bro, you just got to hit record. It's the hardest thing to do, but everything else will fall into place. And he was that motivation a big motivator for me to hit that record, because that's exactly what he told me to do. You got to hit record. And I finally did it. And that was my first time. And I used his words in my first podcast to tell people what I'm doing, is because without his motivation of telling me just to hit that button, I probably wouldn't have done it.
It can be intimidating because, you don't want to, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but you can't compare yourselves to him. But you're not him. You're a completely different dude. You have a different perspective, but you want to.
He has a lot more hair.
The expectation. He does have nice hair. I'll give him that. But when I got into writing for Fire Engineer, it was the same concept. Like, wow, that's amazing. He does that, dude. You're no different than he is. He just put himself out there. You pushed record. I pushed submit. It's all you got to do. And the more people that do that, take that chance, put themselves out there, the more of the doers, the go-getters, are going to make a difference in the job, right? We need
Absolutely.
1,000 Jeremy Donches. We need 1,000 of you. It's only going to dwindle away all the the guys that are there being recliner rhinos. We're going to get rid of them. We're either going to force them through influence to stand up and be counted, or we're going to get them out of there. They can lay down and be mounted, right? Like, it's all we can keep doing is pushing forward, driving forward, and hopefully we can influence and promote this change.
100%, man. Yeah, I love the fact that we have motivators out there and energetic people that are touched by the fire service or first responder field and feel so passionate and motivated to make a difference. And, and you don't have to do it without bullying. There's no bullying involved. There's no calling people on the carpet, because if someone's offended by what we say, it's probably because you're not living up to expectations. And now it's hitting home to you that someone's, indirectly calling you out because, you're the one sitting on the recliner, or maybe you're the one who's not bothering with physical fitness or mental health, or just doing your education and reading those books and getting the knowledge in. If you're the one that's sitting at the station that constantly just sits on the chair and scrolls through whatever's going on without even lifting a book or hitting the gym, then yeah, if you feel offended, that's because it's you.
You hit it right on the head, man. Like Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. He recently put something out there. Your potential is intimidating to people who don't share your vision. The reason they're acting out is because you're obviously some type of threat in their mind. And I don't know if it's because they're insecure or they're jealous, but you're out there making a difference. You're a game changer. And to them, rather than just kind of going along and helping out and being part of that process, they just sit there and piss and moan from the seat, but let them sit there
Yep,
from the stands. That's fine. That's fine. I really
absolutely,
hope
man.
that our success annoys the hell out of these people.
I do too.
Motivates
I take great,
pushing forward.
dude. I take great satisfaction. Honestly, it used to bother me if people like if they were going to shit all over what we're doing, or if they just don't get it. It doesn't matter. Like I said, if the one or two people get it and they're motivated by it, when I get a text by somebody who says, "Man, what you said, it really moved me or helped me," great. That's all that matters. I'll keep going. If it's just the one person that supports me, that's great. I can have 500 haters, but if that one person that made a difference, I'll keep going.
That's
If
all you
that's
need.
motivating them, right, and that's
All you
inspiring
need.
them, right, like the books that you're writing, the articles that you put out, if it's reaching 10 people out of 500,000, all right, mission accomplished.
If you
They're
don't buy into the book, don't purchase a copy. If you don't like what I post, scroll down. You can unfriend me, you can hide what I put out there, or you can just ignore it. But if I'm keeping you up at night in your bed as you're scrolling on your iPad instead of hanging out with your wife, I'm in your head, bro. I win. But
You've just been
another,
mind fucked.
yeah, literally. But another concept that derives from these groups of people is like, not that we plan these outfits, but we're both part of the New England Fools, right? There wouldn't be no existence of the Fools if it wasn't for the people like that. And these conferences and these conventions and all these trainings that Rusty and the guys do throughout New England throughout the year, nobody is dragged there by the back of their boots. They're all there because they want to be there. And those are the people you want to surround yourself by.
100%. Yeah. So let's talk real quick about the New England Fools. Since we are proud members, it's a great chapter. Covers, encompasses all of New England, hence New England Fools. Rusty Ricker is the president, and he does a great job with trying to bring as much training and presentations and lectures and as he can. And he
I'm
usually
gonna
has a
butt in real
great
quick and say
cadre.
that
Yeah.
great is an understatement. Rusty is the man. Rusty is the man.
And I know he appreciates that. And it's definitely it's a position that really goes unnoticed, because there's everybody else that he promotes and everything that he does, it's behind the scenes. And those the people that the biggest movers are always behind the scenes, and they don't put themselves in front of the camera or behind the mic. They're pushing everyone else's content out because he wants them to succeed, just like you just talked about. Is that we want the people who give a shit to succeed. And he's doing the same thing. You don't see much of him in his face out in any kind of media, but he's making the moves happen. And when we have the summit coming up in March, if you want to touch on that as well, or not touch, but we'll talk a lot about that. It wouldn't be there without him and
The
the
nice
staff
thing
that
though,
he has.
you talk about him, behind the scenes. It's great though, because any function or event you go to, that's exactly what he's doing. He's in the back as a student, listening with a smile on his face. A guy
Mm-hmm.
at that age with that tenure in the service still is thoroughly enjoying the company of these people. That's what it's all about. He
Yeah.
was actually one of the first episodes of National Fire Radio that I listened to. And it was just by chance that, we had a chapter in Connecticut, Charter Oak. And it kind of, I don't really know the background, if it was dissolved or whatever, but basically New England took it over. And New England just keeps growing and growing and growing. They're now absorbing parts of Canada. And I've been attending some of their, evening lectures, little conferences here and there, but I started doing the one up at Wells, Maine for the last few years, and you're just meeting some incredible people. And the first year I was like a fly on the wall, one of very few from Connecticut there, and it was kind of crazy because the next year I went back there and this dude's like, "You're A.B. Turenne." I'm like, "Dude, he's gonna make a lampshade out of my skin. Like, what's going on?" But because of that networking and that collaboration, people start following, so they started seeing Hops and Halligans, they started seeing some of my articles. And that was reassuring, letting me know I am doing the right thing. And Rusty reached out. They're planning the one this year. It's going to be up in Wells, Maine again at the Village by the Sea. If you haven't been to one of these, you're doing yourself an injustice. Not you, whoever's listening to this. I mean, because they closed down Village by the Sea, and it's 100% all full members for the whole weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing but beer, brotherhood. It's awesome. And Rusty brings in some of the absolute best in the industry. Typically there's two different tracks. There's like an officer leadership track, and then there's operational aspects of it. And I'm still, obviously I'm attending this year. I wouldn't miss it for the world. But I'm very fortunate and blessed that for Saturday during the operational track, I'll be one of the featured lecturers. So I'm pretty excited about that, and it'll be nice to see it from a different perspective, but still get to enjoy the weekend with all those around me. Aaron Heller, Chris Gray, again, some absolute New England studs. I mean, it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, the lineup looks amazing, and I'm excited to be a part of that in a small way. I'm extremely honored. I'm blown away that he invited me to be there and help create some content during the summit.
That's a nice feature that he's doing this year, and when I saw that he was bringing you in, I just kind of puckered a little bit. It was nice, Happy to see it.
Yeah,
It'll be a good time.
I got a little emotional. I was texting my wife, to be honest with you, because it's a big step. You
It shows you're
anybody who's
doing something right, bro. It's validating
100%.
all the hard work that you put
Yeah,
in. You're obviously
and that's
reaching
exactly
people.
it. And that's it, man. You nailed it. It's just the hard work, writing books, writing articles. You have to do your homework, and doing what we're doing right now, it takes hard work. You have to do your homework on people. You takes long nights of editing, and I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's just that putting it all in and having someone like Rusty reach out and go, I want you there. I want you to deliver your content there. We're going to interview some people, and I'm blown away. I'm honored, and I'm incredibly humbled that I get to share some of that with you guys and get to talk to you guys more and meet you face to face. And it makes me almost speechless that I get to be a part of that in some small
Can't be
way.
speechless. You're behind a mic all the time, brother. Come on. Yeah.
I
You
love to
know,
talk. I am a talker.
what's great
So
that you brought up, and I don't think enough people recognize that. And I mean, maybe eventually my wife will listen to this, but she doesn't need to hear this. But you mentioned and you referenced your wife. We wouldn't be in our situations without the support of our spouses, and that's another big thing that guys like Rusty, the Yowlers, if you follow them down south, like they're starting to incorporate the spouses into a lot of these things, and it's providing an opportunity for us to continue to go out and be better and do better, because now we actually have their vested support because they get it, but they're part
mhm.
of it. There's small cadres of groups that are of the wives that can counsel each other, mentor each other. Some of them get involved in hands-on hot classes, but now a lot of these conferences are inviting them and providing opportunities for them to learn, and I think it's phenomenal. But what I'm getting at is that, you mentioned your wife indirectly about the support. Obviously, you have her backing you to sit here on a Sunday afternoon to listen to AB yap all day, and the time to train up at the academy with the Explorer program, the times that you're away on tour, and she's still there for you. Like, I think a lot of
Absolutely.
people miss the fact that they have that. I'm fucking blessed. I tell people all the time, and I'm married up. My wife is an absolute saint. She's an
Yeah,
amazing woman.
you absolutely nailed it, dude. I definitely couldn't do this without her and her understanding. And I think with everyone that stepped up or whether they're in a speaking circuit or training circuit, we couldn't do this without them. I mean,
No,
childcare, work, stress, it's all encompassing of what they do for us. And being there as the rock of holding the family together while we're traveling and putting ourselves out there, and and sacrificing. When I was in Arkansas for First In conference, and I recorded Tom Hollick, who this man, I don't know if you ever met him. He's amazing. I
not
absolutely love this guy.
personally. Follow some of his stuff, but I haven't met him. No,
Great
unfortunately.
dude. The guys in Texas, I can't say enough about them. But Tom Hollick makes a speech before we started doing some hose operations, and he talks about sacrificing, and he's here to teach and to make the service better for all of us. And he talks about how he has sacrificed his time away from his family, that he missed his daughter's first soccer game. And I thought it was so touching of him being here for us, and he's missing an important event in his life, but he wants to be here for us. And I posted that. And when we talked earlier about the haters, holy shit, there was a lot of haters. There was a lot of people that were just shitting all over such a positive message of him telling people that, I have a strong family at home that is taking care of my family to
So,
help. Oh, it's okay, man.
what am I
You had a
doing?
dad face on. You had the
What
dad
am I
face on, so I could tell it was serious. But it was so touching that how Tom wanted to talk about his family real quick and say, like, I have my wife and I have the people that I need to help me do this so I can deliver content to all of you. And I was really moved by it. But like we said, that there's going to be those people that are going to hate on others. And they flat out said in comments, I wouldn't miss my daughter's game. You're sacrificing too much. But we have to sacrifice if we want to make things better. And our wives know that. Our spouses know that this is our life, this is our passion, and that we are bringing something that we love to the masses. And if we didn't do that, then where would we be?
He's not missing every game. He's missing a game.
He missed a game, right?
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. And he's such a humble and such a calming person. He's like 6'5.5". He's a huge dude, but he is so nice and so gentle. And that these comments were rolling in, and he was just like, whatever, man. Hey, it's fine. And he let it roll right off his shoulders. And when you put yourselves out there, you're going to get those people who are going to shit all over you. You can either take it and let it ruin your sleep. And like you said, we just said, right, a mind fuck. They're already inside of you, and they're getting dirty inside your mind. Or you can let it roll off your shoulders and just continue on and deliver something positive. And I always think about Tom. If anyone gives me crap for what I'm doing or what you're doing, I let it roll off my shoulders because I know I'm providing something bigger than me.
And they don't realize what you're doing to provide for your family. And it's easy to look from the outside when they really have no idea. What you did was instead you sacrificed that 6 hours of sleep to do all these things behind the scenes so you didn't miss out on your kids. They don't see
Correct.
that and they don't get that. But it's easy to sit back and watch what others are doing when you really don't do anything with your life. You show up once every 72 hours, you're guaranteed to get a paycheck. And even when you're there, you don't do anything. It's pretty easy to sit there and be a critic, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's easy to hide behind the keyboards.
I welcome the target on my back. I'd rather have that. Absolutely. Sorry, dude. I'm a mover and a groover, man. And it's not just the ADHD. I got to get shit done. So.
Well, Basil Ibrahim, he talks about, he does a great presentation. He usually ends it with, he has a shot of a target on the screen, and he talks about that you're going to have a target on your back because you're doing something that other people aren't. And that's a good thing. Have the target on your back. Let them aim right into that bullseye because you're going to keep moving.
You know what's sad, though? Usually the ones that have you in their scopes are the ones right in your backyard. It's the guys in-house. It's the guys from your town. And that's what I jokingly made the reference earlier. I said, talk about the 20 miles in a suitcase. There's a training chief that I very, very fortunate to have been networking with out of Wilton, Connecticut, this guy, John Plofkin. And he made that reference to me one day, 20 miles in a suitcase. I'm like, I don't get it. He's like, dude, AB. He's like, you're a training guy in your own house, right? And I guaranteed you're met with resistance on the daily. Well, that's an understatement. But you know what? You're going to get that in your own backyard. You're a piece of shit. Nobody cares what you have to say. No one cares what your opinion is of low hose beds. You're nobody because unfortunately there's a measuring contest everywhere you go. But when you pack that suitcase and toothbrush and you travel 20 miles down the interstate, guess what? People care. Why? Because they're all there for that reason. And when you go to these big conferences and these lectures and these hot classes and you are missing that soccer game, you're not getting that resistance from them. You don't have a target on your back from them because they're all there for the same reason. So you sometimes, unfortunately, in order to be successful, in order to rejuvenate that passion and love for the job, you got to travel. Take that suitcase and travel 20 miles. There's a reason I go to Wells, Maine every March because there's no target there. It's all people that want to be there and care and want to learn and take something from you and you take something from them and so forth. Like, that's fine, man. I could deal with that. And I think Basil's right, man. 100%.
100%. Absolutely. Speaking of the summit again, now you're going to be teaching there. What is the topic that you're teaching?
So, honest to God, I was in the right place at the right time. I can't believe how far this has actually taken off. Trust me, I'd much rather get up there, talk about RIT operations and actual fire tactics. But back on April 15th of this past year, we had a somewhat of a unique call. Have you had the opportunity to meet Chris Gray? He's going to be one of the presenters this year. He's doing a big thing on lithium-ion batteries and so forth, but he's dealt a lot with protest demonstrations, deterrent devices and stuff like that. And he's actually been a huge help with getting me moving with this. But anyways, we had an incident and at a manufacturer of aircraft motors, machines, so forth. These people are trying to shut down, make a statement, stop production. It's going to make all the difference, in other countries, blah, 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 blah. don't want to give too much of my stuff away, right? But in a nutshell, the on-duty complement from my respective department was able to control the situation, mitigate at hand what they were presented with the tools, equipment, education, experience they had on hand. Nothing that I don't think any other department would have done. I just think that we happened to be the right people at the right time, and it kind of took off. There's a certain climate right now in society where a lot of these things are starting to pop off along the country. We actually found out that day there were 7 other demonstrations from the same organization throughout the U.S. And it led to some training material through a criminal justice internal intelligence division out our way. It led to a short training article that I got to author for fire engineering. Thank you, Peter Percillo. I'm like at my Grammys. I got to give the shout outs, But fortunately for me, again, the man in the arena, right place at the right time. I've been able to take that call for service, take the lessons learned, and then adapt that and come up with some more research from people like Chris Gray. And I put out this phenomenal program that I presented up at Foxwoods Resort Casino this past year at the EMS and Fire Pro Summit. I've probably been to 13 different agencies or departments in our area to deliver it. It's kind of just blown up, And again, like I want to talk about stretching in and doing this other stuff, but you know what? If this topic of conversation can make a difference and better prepare company officers and firefighters in another department, so that's my job. That's what I was given, and that's what I'm going to go do. I just hope that after this year, I can maybe come back to some of these conferences in a different light. But no, I'm blessed about it. It's called Protest Preparedness Defeating Demonstration Devices. And, in a nutshell, I talk about how we met with these sleeping dragon devices and what tools and tactics we did to approach them without obviously causing any harm to the demonstrators, to ourselves. And in a nutshell, the incident was under control in 59 minutes from start to finish. It was awesome. And in a lot of it,
Wow.
I do want to applaud, and this is no reflection of me, but I do want to applaud my department. They're very big on training and education. And I can say that while I say we were the right place, right time, I actually think I had the right shift, the right platoon was on, and the right group of guys, because these guys are, they're hard chargers. They're good at what they do. And again, I just happened to be that person that was given the opportunity to be like a spokesman,
Yeah.
I'm a training officer. That's my job function. And I'm also the incident safety officer for our department. So I came in off duty for this. My hands weren't involved physically. I was a liaison. I was part of the command staff. Fortunately, because I deal with both the training and the safety aspects of it, I wrote something up and it kind of just took off. And here I am. We got Wells, Maine coming up in March. I'll be going to Frederick County, Maryland in March as well. Key City Fire Conference. It's their second year doing it, and that just keeps getting bigger and better between lectures and hot classes. I'm very, very fortunate, and I can't wait to see where the rest of this year takes me.
Where what will you be teaching at Key City?
Same thing. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's this PowerPoint presentation, this lecture, this training thing from the protests is just kind of like been my bread and butter since April of last year. I'll ride it out as long as I can, I guess. If it helps me get out there and meet the right people and again get that word out there, so be it. But I got a couple other things up my sleeves I'm working on. Through some influence, working on another one about your firehouse, is it functioning or failing? Just ways to kind of promote and breed some better culture. I've got another one that I did last year. I was up in Canton, Massachusetts at their Safety Survival Conference, the Domino Effect one, and a lot of it's just based off of key statistics and some of my coffee table quick tips and how basically we can better prepare ourselves at the start of shift to take out all those dominoes, those chain of events that occurred that unfortunately end up being in a near miss, a close call, or unfortunately a mayday. That's one I'm very passionate about. I put a lot of time and effort in it. It just hasn't taken off to that level yet. But I was fortunate enough I got to deliver that last year with some of the guys that are going to be at Wells, Maine this year as well. Pat Smith, another New England Fool, notable New England Fool, recently promoted to deputy chief. Congratulations, brother. Him and I are Anna Maria alumni. That's where I met him. So small
nice.
world. We got our masters together. He's a Fool, and I see him, throughout the year now at some of these events, which is awesome. It's great to see him progress through his career. Like, he's come so far from when we first met as firemen in our master's program, and I've just watched him become an absolute stud. He teaches at the fire academy, heavily involved in the RIT operations, and obviously in his own department he's moving up. Well deserved, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, that's a lot. If you could, I don't what you want to give away or not give away, but you referenced like the domino effect, how to start your shift. What are some of the things that you do, or what are some of the things that you recommend to prevent the domino?
Well, I can tell you right now, what absolutely goes right up my ass is, I had a captain, and I wholeheartedly buy into what he says, and he's probably not the one who created this, but to be early is to be on time, to be on time is to be late is unacceptable. And he's 100% right, because your shift does start at 7. But that other person has to get home to their family, may has had a rough night, but also you got to make sure that your shit's operable and ready to roll. And what drives me absolutely insane is because I work admin hours now, man. I'm a desk hump, right? I'm not driving an engine. I'm behind a Silverado. But, when I get there an hour into shift and I'm watching guys gear in their cubby still, or they're just pulling the rig out to check it, what's been going on that last hour?
Hmm.
The community depends on you to get that shit done, get it in line. First thing you do is you grab your gear, you stow it where it belongs. What's your riding assignment? Know what your riding assignment is. Know what your responsibilities are. Stow and check your gear, your flashlight, your radio, your SCBA, your gear. Put it on so you can don it as quick as possible, efficient, effective. But then whatever your riding assignment is, all that equipment and gear needs to be checked and inspected for the day. Because at 7 o'clock when the tones drop, dude, you got to roll. And not only is the community relying on you, but so aren't your fellow brothers or sisters. So you got to make sure you are in it. I don't care what you do on your own time. I don't ask anybody to have the drive that you have or that I may have. You don't have to be about the job 24/7, but when you're on shift, give a fuck, please. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a wife and 3 kids at home that do, and they care when I come back or someone else comes back. But the person dialing 911, they don't care what your toilets look like. They don't care that the carpet's been vacuumed or that the third pot of coffee with 5 scoops of grounds are in it. They care that when you show up, you're going to have oxygen in that D cylinder, you're going to help their husband feel better, and you're going to make it look like you give a shit when you're checking their vital signs, right? They want to know that when you stretch that 1.75 inch, not with an adjustable nozzle on it, to that front door, that there's water in that tank. It's not assumed. Well, the shift before didn't roll. I know everything's in place. Bullshit. Until you check it, it's not done. And that's a huge thing with the domino effect stuff, is right from the start of your shift, being prompt, being early, being on time, getting all your stuff ready. But then it's, all that downtime, it's institutional knowledge, being familiar with the geographical location, your policies, your procedures. What type of building construction in your area? Every house isn't a raised ranch, so every fire is not going to be hit like a raised ranch would be, right? You got to be able to familiarize yourself with that.
Mm-hmm.
The day that you're fortunate enough to be a chauffeur or pump operator, whatever, like, know how to get from point A to point B. It's great if you can get from here to there from the firehouse. What happens when you're returning from a big Y getting lunch, and all of a sudden the tones drop? You need to know how to get there, or that road is obstructed or blocked because of something else. But
Absolutely.
that's what that presentation is all about. For a while, I would reference each aspect of it to a line of duty death. That was notable, that something like that may have been a key contributing factor. I did remove that from it. My mindset was to pay respect to those and make sure that their name still continues, to make sure that lessons were learned. But I felt that sometimes it wasn't an appropriate audience, or it could be perceived wrong, where, like, maybe like a finger pointing thing, and that's farthest from whatever I wanted to happen. So I
Sure.
removed that. What I did was I started just incorporating, like, maybe like a coffee table quick tip that kind of helped supplement the, hey, you should be doing this to better prepare yourself, or lessen the likelihood you're going to get yourself jammed up, or if you do get yourself in a jam, this is what you can do to prevent it and make it better, right? More conducive to successful outcome. And if field trial runs, delivering it in-house, delivering it to some local departments. I went up to Canton, Mass, and I felt personally I blew it out of the water. I thought it was awesome, received well by my peers, and that's the biggest thing when you're around your peers and they appreciate it. Like, you knew you did something right. We'll be the
Yeah.
first ones to break each other's balls, but we're going to be the first ones to praise each other when it's warranted, and that made me feel really good, And
Yeah.
hopefully, again, if one person got one thing out of it, and 3-4 months or maybe 3-4 years down the line on a call for service, it comes in the back of their head and they did it, and now they went home safe. I did what I was supposed to do. Makes everything worth it. And if that's what my 25-year career is, so be it. I made a difference. I had an impact, So,
You nailed it, man. I love that. I would love to hear that that presentation. I think it encompasses every part or person in that job, whether it's a probie or senior guy, about being prepared. I just remember when I was starting, all the probies would come up to me and tell me how they do their chores. I clean the toilet this way, and I'll scrub it this way, and then I'll move on to the sink, and then I'll do this and I'll do that. I'm like, man, I'm 45 years old. I know how to clean a toilet. Tell me about the truck. Tell
100%.
me, right? Tell me what you do to get ready in the morning to prepare for your shift. I can clean the toilet afterwards, and I know I can do a damn good job cleaning that toilet. I've had many years doing it, but
What about when you get a new guy in house, and what do they end up doing? They have him do all the house chores. So for the first 3 hours, that's all he's done was mopped and cleaned. Dude, I don't care about lawn care. I care about ladder throws, right?
yeah,
He's going to learn that aspect of it. Let's make him successful on the fire ground, please.
100%, man. Yeah,
24 hours in a
absolutely.
day, you got to prioritize your time. Sorry.
Yep.
If
Yeah,
it makes me look like an asshole, then so be it.
I think, I mean, people, they want to talk, and I think there's a fine lines at times that you come in for your shift, and you're getting your transition, you're talking to the guy you're relieving, and yeah, people are shooting the shit and maybe having that cup of coffee, but I think the first thing when you walk in the office should be at least have your gear staged and ready to go, so you don't have to go run into your locker when the tones drop and you have to peel everything out of the truck from the person the night before, that it's ready to go and it's already in there. Maybe you need to take your morning dump first, and but at least your gear is ready to go, and then if something tones drop, you can wipe real quick and then head into the truck.
I will admit,
Um,
I am an advocate of getting paid to poop, so that's a good thing. Make a sticker on that, paid to poop.
there's nothing like a good morning dump, I'll tell you what, though.
But I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many times in my first couple years where I'm at now, I would get my balls broken, where the first thing I would do is change the battery in my portable and do a radio check with dispatch.
hmm,
Okay, so it bothers you. I don't care. But when I get disoriented or I get lost, my last means of communication is that radio. I want to make sure it's operable. If you busted
absolutely,
my stones about it after the fact, don't care. But guess what? If another guy coming in does the same thing because he sees it, mission accomplished, right? So,
100%. Yeah, it's just that takes that one person to see that, and that's a good domino effect, right? Like
yeah.
that positivity and initiative carrying on. And they see one person do it, and it just continues and continues. So you mentioned that you wrote articles for fire engineering. Well, how did you get into writing articles for them?
So honest to God, it was just like you talking about Jeremy. Like you got to push record. I was very fortunate through my master's program. I know I've mentioned Anna Marie a few times here, but I wouldn't have a lot of what I have today if it wasn't for the influences and the mentors I had. Chief Reggie Freeman recently retired from Oakland. He was Connecticut. He was a Hartford chief, where I'm from in Connecticut. I'm not from Hartford, but I'm from Connecticut. And he was a huge influence, and he was one of my professors, and he helped me kind of get back to where I'm at now. And he was put himself out there as a letter of reference, and reaching him about pursuing further education after the fact. And he just basically told me, he's like, nobody can take that away from you. You've earned your education. Keep moving forward. And then I started stumbling upon another article, and I was like, wait a minute here. I had to go back and reference and find the guy's face at the end to make sure it wasn't the same guy. Another gentleman, Dan Kerrigan, who was one of my professors, he's the author of Firefighter Functional Fitness with Jim Moss. I was like, this is the same guy. So I said to him, brother or professor, I'm gonna be professional. I mean, I didn't know you write for fire engineering. He goes, AB, you could do the same. You just have to push send. And it took me
Hmm,
a while to process what he's getting at, but he's like, find something that you're passionate about, find something that you make sure you're confident with, put it together. I'll help you. I'll edit it, make corrective changes and so forth. He goes, put it out there, see what happens. At that point in time, cancer really wasn't a big push in the fire service. It was just kind of starting to make its way about carcinogens and gear. And I think the big thing at that point in time was soaking the hood and showing the difference in color and water. Well, I had a captain where I was working who passed away of cancer. And I guess maybe in a weird way, that was my way of recognizing that it happened, and I wrote something on about, proper doffing of gear, laundering of your gear, proper habits of PPE and then the impacts of it. And Peter Percillo, one of the editors, took it and started pushing and promoting it online, and it kind of took off for me. And that's where the AB really took off. And then I just started finding things throughout the times that I was like, I'd like to get this information out there. It was relevant to me. It was relevant to our department. It was relevant to this training I did, or this is something I feel passionate about, and I'd do something up. I'd send it in, and they've been great. And I think a lot of it's just technology, like Hops and Halligans. Because of technology, it gets out there, and that's how you
sure.
get to spread the word. It was no different with that. Not everything was published in a printed magazine, which most people probably don't read today. But when they put it up on their Twitter, well, is Twitter even a thing anymore? But they put it up on Twitter, they put it up on
It's X.
Facebook, X. They put it up on
X.
Facebook. They put it up on Instagram. It gets sent out on their listserv or on their website. Well, that's enough to get to. I mean, I'd rather go on their website and reach thousands and thousands of people who maybe could take something positive out of it than the 3 people that might breeze through that paper on the shitter one day while they're getting paid to poop and find the article. Long story short, in a nutshell, though, I've been very blessed that group over there with Clarion and Fire Engineering has been nothing but supportive. And most of the time, if I put something out there, they run with it. If they don't, they say thank you very much or try this sometime. And the whole is your firehouse failing or functioning aspect, I kind of converted the first part of that training into an article, and a lot of it's about getting yourself lined up for success that first hour on shift, what we discussed. And that is actually probably going to be coming out in February via
Oh,
Fire
good.
Engineering. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that does see real wood, but hopefully it comes out. But yeah, I mean, anybody, man, if you feel passionate enough about it and you want to get the information out there, take the chance. The worst they could do is say no. And then the best thing that can happen is they give you a couple $100 and it goes out there, right?
That's awesome. How many articles did you write for Fire Engineering?
Successfully, I've probably only been commissioned on 4, maybe 4 training articles, but I used to put a lot of stuff out in their training network, like on the regular. There's probably 20 or so on there. A lot of them I've either converted from training, lesson plans or trainings or vice versa, just to get the stuff out there, get it out there. And again, that platform, man, one person sees it, likes it, shares it, it goes to the next person, goes to the next person,
Absolutely.
I mean, there could be a Mazel Tov sticker in every 50, all 50 states by the end of that. It's the more people that share it online, you never know. So,
But
that's the
know,
brotherhood,
man.
giving back to each other. That's the brotherhood passing it on,
Absolutely, 100%. I forgot to ask for the Hops and Halligans. Jumping back to that, is every Hops and Halligans, is that all for charity? Do you pick a charity for each one?
Unfortunately, it's not. We're not a 501c. But yes, we do make contributions to every event. Obviously, you run some stuff on the side. There's overhead costs. I mean, these people don't come and present for free. So unfortunately, some of the venues charge you to use their halls. We hire an AV, an audiovisual guy for every event. Again, he's a firefighter, owns his own DJ company. I could probably have bought the equipment and reused it 1,000 times and saved money, but at the same time, I'm helping his business. It's promoting it. It's giving him business. The guy's on the job. Why wouldn't I support him?
Sure.
But each event we do try to find a cause to help contribute towards, whether it's a local charity, whether it's a children's hospital, whether it's a firefighter who's dealing with either illness, some type of hardship. We've done the Bridgeport Burn Foundation, the Craniofacial Special Purpose Fund at the Connecticut Children's Memorial Hospital. We helped a firefighter up in the Commonwealth, one of his families. We've donated to a local where I work, a female, unfortunately had to leave college. And it was the same alumni where my wife and I met. So it kind of, hit me a little bit when I saw the article, and we did a thing for her to help offset some costs for her family, going back and forth from the hospitals, time off of work bills and so forth. So I know we don't make an astronomical impact or difference in their lives, but if we can make some type of a help or difference, it's worth it. The juice is worth the squeeze, I always say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I keep trying to do the best I can with it. I'm looking forward to, I'm trying to do something networking with you. I'd like to do something for the Explorer program through either the Frank Lieb event or another one that I got coming up in the year. Oddly enough, some treadmill time this morning. I was going back and forth emailing Purgatory Coffee Roasters. Again, I love caffeine. Support your local caffeine dealer at all costs, right? They are Connecticut based, and every shop or store that they have has a career department in there. And what my goal is, we're working on the thing called Two Bells Blend, and it's going to be a coffee that they'll run, and you buy it by the bag, and it's going to run for like 60 days, and they're going to cut a certain profit from each bag sold. I'm going to ask each local, each union to match that profit, and we're going to donate it to the Connecticut Fallen Firefighters Memorial. So up at our fire academy in Windsor Locks, we have a memorial. The unfortunate thing is there needs to be funding, obviously to upkeep it and maintenance, but unfortunately names have been added. And in order to do that, they do fundraisers on an annual basis. Just last night, we're up at the XL Center in Hartford. The Hartford Wolfpack used to be the Hartford Whalers that played there professionally. The game last night, ticket sales went to the Connecticut Fallen Firefighters Memorial. Over the summer, Hops and Halligans ran a little program called Battle of the Breweries, and we got an old extinguisher. We put a nice logo that kind of mimics the memorial with Hops and Halligans on it, and then kind of like as a spoof, the Stanley Cup, we put a big trophy cup on it. And, But basically what it was a way to promote and push Connecticut-based breweries to get them some business, increase, exposure. And then they had tip night. Well, for 30 days, there was a box and people would throw tips in it. So, accumulative, the Connecticut Fallen Firefighters Memorial raised all that money, but whatever one had the most raised, they were the owners of the Memorial Cup, the extinguisher trophy to display up at their brewery, and then they were invited to the annual dinner up the Aqua Turf, which is also another fundraiser that the foundation does to raise more money. So we're looking at doing this collaboration with Purgatory, Hops and Halligans is, and we're going to raise that funding to help offset some costs for the Connecticut Fallen Firefighters Memorial. And it looks like it's going to be coming out in the next few months. Two Bells Blend, and I love caffeine. I love skeletons. I love tattoos. I love punk rock music. And that's Purgatory in a nutshell. Put all that in a Yahtzee cup and shake it out. It's awesome. And the owners
Speaking of
are
punk rock,
willing.
man.
Yes.
There's a band. So I used to listen to a lot of hardcore music when I was younger. I'd go to shows all over the place, and New England's got a great hardcore following. And one of my favorite bands to this day, they're still very much my favorite, is called 100 Demons. They're out of Connecticut. They're in the Hartford area. The Hartford area.
Hatebreed is huge from Connecticut.
Hatebreed's very huge.
Another big one.
Yeah. So Hatebreed and 100
them,
Demons. No. Yeah, look them up, 100 Demons. I got to give a shout out with them because you're from Connecticut. We're talking about Connecticut. Nice. Hatebreed and 100 Demons. 100 Demons is one of my favorite hardcore bands. So when I'm in the gym, look them up, listen to them. You'll understand why I sometimes I'll have an angry face when I'm in the gym if I'm listening to 100 Demons.
They'll be on my mix tomorrow. I guarantee you that right now.
So that's awesome. I love what you're doing. Do you find that your brainstorming sessions or your ideas pop more when you're working out? Because for me, that's when I'm really motivated, like mentally. Like as soon as I start working out, I'm getting my sweat on, everything's snapping in my brain, and I just start like coming up with ideas and writing ideas, and like a lot of the motivational stuff that I write or anything that seems to be really important. That's actually when it comes up in my head is like as soon as I start lifting weights and I'm listening to my music, my brain starts working, and I'm one of those guys in the gym. I'm on my phone, but I'm not texting anybody. I'm literally writing notes about what I just came up with, either a fundraising idea or a podcast idea or just a motivational kind of post that I can make. I just start writing, and it usually happens when I'm in the gym. Does that happen with you?
Like a lot of guys will break my balls because you're always on the social media platforms. No, when I'm walking at an incline to burn fat, I'm sitting there just copy paste post, and I'm hitting the Hops and Halligans, my personal page, Instagram, whatever. When I'm working out lifting, a lot of times my focus starts brainstorming towards there, but I just keep processing it. It's my drive to the firehouse after the gym because I'm by myself. I'm now a little bit more relaxed. The pre-workout's starting to wear off a little bit. But what I try to do is on the daily, I'll go to Purgatory, I'll grab a hot cup of bean water, and I'll drive the district. And it helps me learn cross streets, hydrant locations, familiarize myself if there's any construction going on or any notable changes. But it gives me that time to brainstorm and think about training opportunities, lesson plans, bringing in speakers for Hops and Halligans, how I can. You know what? I just saw this the other day. Maybe we can raise funding for them. $500 is $500. It'll help. But it's usually driving around in my service truck for work with coffee and just kind of like my own thoughts. But the gym is more like a getting it out there, getting all the stuff out there. 100 Demons might help me tomorrow. Maybe they'll help produce the next AB production tomorrow morning. So
yeah, you never know, man. You never know. So you have any more articles that you are going to be producing or coming out with, or that you're in the middle of writing, or are you focusing on the presentations and the other trainings you got going on?
Just getting the logistics wrapped up for this Frank League coming up. Unfortunately, that's not until June. But I got a couple cool things in the works. It's in the Rose City, city of Norwich, Connecticut. Shout out to local 892. The brewery that we're using, these guys brewing company, they're actually moving out to the water on the marina. So it's going to be a beautiful venue right on the water, perfect time of year. But they have a minor league affiliated team out there in Norwich. And fortunately, networking and knowing a few people, I'm working on getting Frank a personalized jersey. But hopefully, if he can stay the night, they're going to have him throw the pitch out the next day at a game. So that'll be kind of cool.
That would be awesome.
Anything we could do to hype it up for him, make his experience a memorable one. yeah, it's 5 minutes from Mohegan Sun, but anybody can go to the casino any day. I want to make this a really good experience for him, experience for all the people in attendance. Jokingly, you mentioned earlier about some New Hampshire stuff. You'd be surprised how many events and Halligan's events we have people from the Live Free or Die state. Goffstown, huge supporters. There's a couple guys out of Goffstown, Connor, Corey, Chris. Maybe it's a small enough world you know this guy. There's a fireman out there, Chris Ziemba.
Oh yeah.
And oddly enough, there's a Chris Ziemba here in Connecticut. Same name,
No
same
shit.
spelling, same job function, not the same dude. Trying to get the two of them at a Hops event at the same time to cross paths. But yeah, they've
That's
been to a couple events
that's
out this
different.
way, and it's awesome to see that. Again, those are the guys that are willing to travel and make it
Mhm.
this way. The only reason we made it up to Treehouse in Mass because there was a bunch of people from Massachusetts in attendance that, hey, can you bring this our way? Where there's a will, there's a way. I'll bring it anywhere.
Absolutely.
You got to lead me in the right direction, make it happen.
Yeah, the Goffstown guys are really good. It's a young department, a bunch of young guys who really do love learning more about the service.
That's why it's working.
And honest,
for them. They care.
it's exactly, yeah. And then I got to teach their live fire. They had training. I think it was last year, and it was really special that I got invited to help teach for their live fire training. And they're a bunch of young guys that just wanted to get some work in there and get some education. And
It's awesome.
there's a lot of good departments in New Hampshire as well, in the Grant State, that they're young, they're eager, they want to learn. They've got a good culture that's building. And
I'd move there
Goffstown's one of them.
tomorrow. If the right job landed in my lap, I'd move there tomorrow. My in-laws are there, so
Yeah,
my wife,
and
she'd eat that up.
and that's what a small world, right? Like the department I work for, we service your in-laws' town.
Right there.
So it's what a small world that can be. I'm sure I'm driven past them, or hopefully I never have to go to their house. But it's just what a small world that you actually are still there in that area. And I think what you're doing is fantastic for bringing that kind of whoever asks for it. It's not just based in Connecticut. That if there's enough guys say, hey, we love what you're doing, can you bring it over to us? And this is the content we were looking for. I love the fact that you're bringing it to them. And
Where there's a will, there's a way.
And I love that you got Frank Lieb going, man. I got to listen to him speak at County Fire Tactics last year. What he does for the first responders, for mental health, is fantastic.
Huge,
the First Responder Center for
him
Excellence.
And Dina are just God. It's amazing
Yeah.
what they're doing together.
They're doing really, really good work, and that's definitely something that I'm very passionate about, and I talk a lot about it. And having Dina on and talking about her experiences in her book and the work that they're all doing, that whole program is doing, is top notch. And I'm glad we have it. I'm glad we have more programs and companies that are working for the betterment of us, the first responders, and letting people know it's okay to talk about their mental health problems, or here's an outlet, and that you're not alone. That's the biggest thing, is that we keep promoting that we're not alone. And Frank he speaks so passionately about it. And in his book, he talks about his experience with some of those issues that he's had, and to have someone like Frank talk about his personal struggles and helping others overcome that, that's something huge of him. And I'm a big fan of Frank's because of what he does, not just FDNY alone and all the education he brings, but the fact that he's also bringing mental health to the forefront, and he's not just talking about it, he's doing something about it.
Well, the C.A.N. report is a chief level event sponsor, so I'm hoping that the three of us, you, myself, and Frank, will be able to sit around the bar in June. That'll be awesome. I really look forward to that.
I would love that. That's actually when we talked about it, that was one of my hopes, that we could do that. We can sit around and have a round table, and you and I and Frank, we could talk about mental health and talk about all the stuff that we're passionate about.
100%.
Just have some drinks and talk about what we got going on in the world. It's mean the world to me. So you got your articles, you've got Hops and Halligans, you've got your book, you got your work. And I didn't ask you because I was so excited to talk to you. How did you get into the fire service? What motivated you? Was it a family thing? Was it, a lot of people have generations of firefighters and that's why they just automatically started it? What was it for you?
So I grew up in a small mill community. A lot of duplexes, single story ranches.
Are you Connecticut born and raised?
Connecticut born and raised. I'm not bragging about that, right. But just I always refer to it jokingly as the armpit of Eastern Connecticut, but just a small middle class blue collar area. And I was in high school at 18, and I was kind of pissed off because I'm stuck at this stoplight. What the fuck is going on? And I see the firehouse is starting to roll out the bay doors. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I see a dude I go to high school with. I said, what the fuck? I had no idea there was a difference between volunteer, career. I just thought it was a job, right? You got a guy that slings burgers at Mickey D's. You got a guy that cleans the toilets here. I thought it was a job function. So I was 18, and I drove there the next day, and I'm knocking on the door. No one's answering. I'm like, all right, whatever. I knew there was another firehouse in town, so I went and knocked on the door. Same thing. So we have tax districts where I grew up. Each separate tax district is their own separate entity, their own fire department, their own chief, their own this, like, little kingdoms. But the entire town as a whole, there were 4 departments. So finally someone answered the door, and they're like, kid, this is a volunteer job here. You know that, right? And you have to go where you live. Didn't know that. So I started at 18. They got me through, a little bit of training, and we had, at the time, they called it an MRT. I think now I'm a state, it's an EMR, but it's like a first responder. I will tell you a funny story real quick, and I don't know if this is true, but I was told that when they first came up with this first responder program in the state, it was called First Aid Response Technician. And they did the first class, did the first group, and everybody got their rockers for their job shirts until it spelled out FART. First Aid Response Technician. I don't know if that's a joke or not, but I was 18. I remember that, and that stuck with me. So I spent from 1998 at 18 all the way till I was 41 as a volunteer in that community, and I loved it. Loved the community. And the only reason I stopped volunteering was because of my job function. I had to. It wasn't by choice. Throughout that time, from 98 to 2021, I was a civilian employee as a submarine firefighter in the submarine capital of the world, Groton, Connecticut. I spent 9 years as a firefighter there, an electric boat. I spent a little bit of time working, doing a lot of hazmat, stuff like that with Pfizer Pharmaceutical. I worked on the shoreline in East Lyme. And then I was fortunate enough, just through, enough education and experience, I landed a job where I'm at now. I'm a city of Middletown. I do work for a tax district out that way. And, I was 41 years old. I relocated my family. So where are you coming from? Well, I said, here's a good analogy. I went from making meth to maple syrup. So I live in the sticks. This job has provided an opportunity for me to bring my wife and children into an amazing area. It's beautiful. Like, we feed birds on the daily. It's kind of cool, I don't literally have to reach out and borrow sugar 2 feet from my neighbor anymore. I love where we're at. The school system's phenomenal. The community is great. It's not overdeveloped and populated by any means, and there's still that mom and pop shop feel, But I had to contractually, I had to relocate my family for this new job, and I went there at 41. I went there with a 10-year education and experience, but I was that new guy, and I like to think I played that job well as a new guy, because even at that age, I still love the job. And don't get me wrong, I'd ride backstep today if I could, but I had the opportunity to test for this position. It's kind of a weird thing. So it was years in the service plus outlined education experience to test. To be a company officer on the engine as a lieutenant, it's years in that department with an outlined specific education experience. So I couldn't specifically test at that point in time for a lieutenant. And to be an engine boss would be awesome. When this position came up, like I said before, test for this position, it was X amount of time in the fire service plus an outline of education experience. To be an engine boss as a lieutenant, it's X amount of time in this specific department with an outline criteria of education experience. So that wasn't open yet at the time to be an engine boss. And looking at, the tenure in the department or age-wise, those that are in the position, and me being 41 at that time, the likelihood of me getting promoted into a lieutenant spot are pretty slim, because it's, being the fact that the guys that were eligible to test are much younger than me, I'm going to be retired long gone before they get out of that spot once they get it. So I went out on a limb. I took this position. I took the test. They do a great program where they do a third-party contractor. They bring in a mission CIT. They do a written exam. They do an oral panel, and then they do a little cumulative scoring combined with like X amount of points for time and service here, blah, 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 blah. And there was just a handful of people within the bargaining unit that put in for it. And I was fortunate that I started this position in March of 20. And it's been quite a ride, from here on out. I don't know how we got in this conversation. Oh, so sorry. So I relocated. I moved down here. And that's how I landed in this spot where I'm at now. Just after a couple of years of riding on the engine there, I tested, and now I work Monday through Friday. Which, even though I start my 3rd year in this spot in March, I'm still not used to the day shift. I don't like it. I miss the camaraderie. right, wrong, or indifferent. You got the same 8 guys out of one house every 24 hours, 72 hours, you kind of you learn each other's quirks and you learn each other's strengths and so forth, but those are your guys, and you got your dinner together, you sleep together, you go to these calls together and so forth. But I don't have that now. I'm like a lone man on an island by myself, and every day we've got 4 groups. Very blessed with our staffing, I'll tell you that. At a one house, we run a 4-man engine and a 4-man truck. The engine's a lieutenant, 3 firefighters. The truck is our shift captain and 3 firefighters. We got a chief of department, deputy fire chief, myself, and then the fire marshal's office, which has a fire marshal, deputy fire marshal. And but the downside is, with those 4 groups, I was part of a group, and it was awesome. There was that, level of morale, level of camaraderie, and so forth. But now that I'm there every day and at work and admin hours, I have to adjust my personality to whoever the 8 guys are on shift. That's a lot. That is exhausting.
Yeah.
It is absolutely exhausting. And it's tough too, because you hold rank, you got 2 bars on your collar, but you don't hold any authority. Here's a wealth of responsibility. You are now the training officer and department safety officer. However, we're not going to give you any authority with that. So there are some people who respect the position. There are some people who respect the person. It becomes hard at times, because you try to ask, you never want to give direction. I never want to give, do this. It's, can you please do this? Like, treat people with respect, treat them like humans. But I also got to go in there with an open mindset that I'm going to be given pushback. I'm going to be, there's going to be people that won't receive it well or interpret it the wrong way because I don't work for you. No, you don't. You don't work for me. I don't work for you either. We both work for the same tax district that's paying us and giving us the opportunity to be firemen, damn it. Let's just work together and get it done,
Yeah.
But, I am fortunate that, I'm surrounded by company officers who have a significant tenure in the department, a lot of institutional knowledge, and all of them equally have their own background in the fire service. So where I may have a weakness in one thing, their strength comes and complements it, or vice versa, and we have a mutual respect for each other. I need to realize that on scene, I'm the incident safety officer. They're the shift captain. They're in charge. I can't tell somebody specifically, grab that line, bring it up to the second floor, check for extension. I can recommend it because I might see an unsafe act, That was probably one of the hardest parts of the transitions, but I would expect to get resistance, Here I am, lacking a tenure in this specific department, and I promoted quickly. I would expect to get some pushback. I'd like to think that over the last few years of being there, though, I haven't changed. I'm still that balls to the walls, 100% over-caffeinated, unmedicated ADHD guy who fucking loves the job. And as long as they continue to see that, and they know that nothing's ever about AB, it's about us, it's about the department, it's about the community, they'll start going along for the ride and understanding. And if not, it's going to be a long career for them, because I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, brother. And I'm definitely not going to change who I am. I absolutely refuse to water myself down to make AB more digestible for anybody else. You can fucking choke, bro. I'm sorry, but we're all in this together. Let's be part of the brotherhood and act like it, all right? That $3 sticker on your windshield that says IFF brotherhood doesn't mean shit if you don't put actions behind it. And you have to treat each other with respect and love each other. My own worst enemy in the firehouse, I would literally give the shirt off my back if he needed it. It probably wouldn't fit him, but that's what it's about. You put all those agendas aside, you put those egos aside, you put the measuring contests aside, and you're there for each other in a time of need. Because I know damn well when shit hits the fan, those are the guys that I want, I don't care if they're a Yankee fan, if they're Democrat, or if they're male or female. It doesn't matter. They're on the job, they're part of my family, And I think more people need to kind of take that mindset and realize that we're all in this together, man, and we're only going to be successful if we're genuinely in it together. Don't have those conversations
100%.
around the coffee table about each other. Have them to each other, So, I know.
Absolutely, man. And that's okay, man. I've grown accustomed to it. And you nailed it, though. I mean, you're right that people need to care about each other and perform. And having the like you said, having that sticker on your front windshield, it only does a little part. You really got to earn it. And
100%.
You got to represent it, and we all take pride in our departments and our unions. And again, it's a kind of an alpha male environment, and we love to outperform and outwork a lot of people. And I think the people who do that and really take pride in it, those are the ones who actually get really pissed off.
Just don't outwork yourself to try to make other people look bad. That's what you got to remember. You know,
100%, my man. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You don't want to leave your brothers and sisters in the dust and be like, well, you couldn't hack it. So now I get to do all this stuff. Well, you're going to be left inside of a building all by yourself because no one's going to want to work with you.
Everybody you
If
work
you're going
with
to,
has a strength. Find their
yes.
strength, capitalize on it, and ultimately, I mean, not bad analogy maybe, but I coach youth sports. I coach lacrosse and football. You're not going to win a game with one guy on the field, but if you have all 11 guys and they all do their job function, that play is going to be successful. It's no different in the firehouse when you're running a 4-man engine and a 4-man truck. Every person has a strength. If every person does their job, the outcome ultimately will be the best for the citizen, for the guys in house, and so forth. And we got to start doing that. All that energy that you put into bringing someone down or pointing out their flaws, put that same energy into making them better. Well, I don't want you to know what I know because then I'm not the man anymore. I'd rather have 2 of them than 1 of them. Harvesting knowledge or harvesting concepts and ideas to yourself isn't going to benefit anybody. Check the ego in at the door, bro, and let's move forward, please.
Right.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Not here for me. We're here for we.
100%. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
So, all right, man. Nozzle top.
Huh.
Wow. That was, man, I enjoyed talking to you. I can't wait to meet you in person. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. So if anyone's all right, then the second round's on me. So AB Turenne out of Connecticut. He coordinates Hops and Halligans. He's a fellow brother in New England Fools. He has his book out, Coffee Tips and Tricks. I forgot the name of it. Coffee Table Quick Tips. Thank you. It's a mouthful sometimes. So thank you so much for being on here, AB. I appreciate the hell of you. You're doing a lot of good things. I appreciate helping a lot of people.
I look forward to listening to your podcast. I love following the stuff that you're pushing out there, but more importantly, I look forward to this relationship just improving and increasing as we get to work together in March and then hopefully in June as well. You got the Explorers Academy coming up in that same time frame, so I think this is going to be good. I think there's a relationship starting here, brother. A little bromance. I like it.
Yep.
We're going to do this.
I'm feeling all happy in my pants right now, knowing that this bromance is going to bloom and it's going to grow. And I'm excited to see what happens and what comes from it. Just like you, I'm a mover and a shaker. I love to get things going, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And definitely the invitation's out right now for you is if you want to see what the Explorer Academy is about. I'd love 100%. To have you come up
100%.
And have your energy there. And we have some really good things lined up. We just had our first meeting for the Explorer Academy, so we're starting to get things going, and we're going in the right direction. And it's going to be a fun week. 55 plus kids that we usually have, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's and we're really focusing too this year on the social. They're absolutely 100%.
They're the future for this job.
I can tell you from experience, we've had probably now 3 or 4 kids that did it last year. They're now moving into career.
That's awesome.
For the fire service. They're doing living programs, and they're right now they're going through interview processes in different departments. They're moving on to be career members. So it does work. You just we need people like you and me and everybody else who gives a shit about the service to help them understand that there's a place to go outside Explorer posts and Explorer academies, and if you talk positively about the job, I think the problem. I'll get on my soapbox real quick, is we also not that we talk about it too much, but we talk about the doom and gloom too much of the fire, what we experience and what we have in the fire service. So it's hard to recruit. If I'm a 19, 20-year-old kid and someone keeps talking about how you're going to get cancer, you're going to die of a heart attack, you're going to, mental health, you might not make it out of your 30s. That's a scary friggin' thing. And you might die in a house fire, right?
That's a huge,
I mean, it's important to let people know of the risks, but at the same time, if that's all you talk is about doom and gloom, then who are you going to get to want to do that job?
You got to break down the risks by statistics too, though. They're not saying that every person this is going to happen to. And we also have, with technology and equipment and policies and procedures, we have a lot of ways to prevent that, so we can have great careers and then enjoy after the fact with our families once that career is over.
100%, because that's the goal, right? We want everyone to be able to retire healthy and be able to spend that time with their family, grandkids, and whatever they got going on, to be able to travel and enjoy life out of the fire service. But we need the young people to come in and take the place that we just left. And we're not going to get a lot of young people in there if we don't promote it properly.
And if you're not willing to mold and shape them, then don't bitch about them when they come in the door, because they're a product of their
Correct.
environment. Let's teach them the right way.
100%. We have to make sure that it is a different world. It is a different generation, and they come from a world where they're not using typewriters anymore, and they're not using letters. They don't write letters anymore, and they don't write checks anymore. And honestly, people aren't telling them how to use gas powered tools because now everything's battery operated. It's our job, because we're the older generation now, to show them how to do it properly and not make them feel like shit because they don't know, because it's not in their world anymore. They have a computer in the palm of their hand, and that's how they're going to learn. It's up to us to be able to be patient and show them the proper way and help them grow. And if I have to show them how to write an envelope, then I'll show them how to address an envelope. If I need to show them how to put gas in a gas powered tool, then I'll do it. But that's our responsibility, because we're there before them. And then now when we leave, they'll understand their responsibility. So I'm happy about the generation that's coming in. People I think are now understanding there's a little more patience going into this, because it's a different world, and we have different technologies. And I'm happy to see the kids coming in and wanting to learn, and they're very ambitious. You just have to understand how to trigger them, right? You need to know what's going to trigger their interests and what's going to trigger their motivations, and don't embarrass them, motivate them, inspire
As
them.
soon as you degrade them or belittle them, they shut down. So anything after that you try to teach them is gone.
Correct.
I'm not saying we got to spoon feed and sugarcoat stuff, but treat them with respect. They're adults in an adult work field. Treat them like adults, and they'll start acting
100%.
like it.
Yeah.
So
and that's what we teach at the Explorer Academy.
But,
I definitely wasn't. I was a shit. But it's
bangs down here. I'm not, so like I wasn't easy.
I grew up in the grunge era, so I had flannel t-shirts, cut jeans, and long hair, smoking cigarettes, and just being an asshole.
My life was Black Flag, the Misfits, Life of Agony. I mean, it's all good.
Life Agony. That's one of my favorite bands too.
That's good.
So, yeah, it is. So yeah, I love the Explorer Academy. I love seeing kids grow. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I love to have people who are also passionate about it and know how to teach and reach people. So I'm excited to have you come up, see what we're about. Again, Jeremy Donch, I believe he's going to come up again for the Explorer Academy. He's very excited to bring his daughter up and have her participate. And we have some guest speakers and guest instructors we're going to have come up as well. And it's a fun week. It's a hard week for them, but it's a fun week. They all walk away with, it's almost like they grew in years, because they've gained so much knowledge, and everyone really enjoys it. So,
and you played a part of
everybody. Yeah, it's life changing, bro. It really is. It's almost like I always equate it as like a religious experience. You walk away with a newfound respect, and you walk away feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. And you might have been feeling like shit for the week because something happened at work, and you spend a whole week with these kids who just love to learn, and they're so respectful. And then once you finish that week, or even just a couple of days, you go home feeling so happy, and you forgot what you were pissed off about, because you just spent a week with people who just give a shit about helping others.
That's awesome.
So
it's worth it,
man.
It's worth it.
It really is worth it. So thank you, AB. I really appreciate you being on here. I can't wait. If anyone's interested, we have the summit coming up that's sponsored by the New England Fools. It's in Wells, Maine, at the Village by the Sea. Was it March 3rd?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that should be 14, 15, 16, 3 days of nothing but camaraderie and brotherhood with some of the best, best in the business. It's a good time.
That is fantastic. I love it. So thank you so much. So thank you all for tuning in to the C.A.N Report. I'm loving the guests that I have. It's been an amazing experience to be able to meet friends and grow relationships. And I couldn't do this without a lot of people who support me. The people like you out there that are actually listening and I appreciate the content that I'm bringing. Again, we have a lot of stuff going on out in the world. Please look at social media to help if you need to wonder how you can raise money through donations and fundraisers. We have the LAFD fires going on. Those brothers and sisters are working hard. You've got guys and girls helping them throughout out of the country and different states coming in to help put these fires out. We also have stuff that's going on closer to home. So just be on the lookout to see what ways you can help. There's a lot of good websites out there. Hefty, Hit It Hard from the Yard. They do a lot of, the Yard Foundation does a lot of good work.
They do tremendous stuff to help people.
They sure do. And they got some stuff out there right now. They're doing T-shirts for LAFD, and they also have, and then you have other guys, Stash Salt, that's been doing T-shirts for LAFD, and guy very close to home who I love very much, Lenny Brown from Notorious Fire.
Yes,
he's been working hard.
I like
Northern Hampshire, right? and he's been helping a lot. So he's got shirts and stickers that he's made up to help with LAFT. So please reach out to him as well, and just look at the social media. There's a bunch of links out there. You can find them on my social media page as well. And New England Fools also shares it. A lot of Fools groups share a lot of ways to help other people. Give a shout out to my man here at Fire Station Memes. He does some great product. He made this cup for me, so I got to give him props because he has some good artwork, and he's out of Phoenix, and he just sent me a bunch of stuff because he wanted to help me out. So I'm going to help him out by broadcasting him. So
pass it on. Pass it on.
Pass it on. All right, AB, thank you so much. You stay right there. I'm just going to shut this down real quick, and you all have a good day, and nozzle top, my friends.
I love it. I love it.